In Umueke Kingdom, the drums never beat for children in the palace. No baby ever cried inside the royal walls. 9 queens. 9 wombs. 18 years. And not one child. But what if the problem was not the women? What if the throne itself was cursed? What if blood was still crying under the ground? The palace of King Ud was big and beautiful. Red walls. Tall pillars. Guards everywhere. But it was quiet. Too quiet. No children running. No laughter. No cradle songs. Only whispers. The first wife, Queen Adana, sat alone in her room, staring at a small wooden cradle that had never been used. 2 years after marriage. Nothing. People began to whisper. The queen is barren. The elders began to worry. And then, the pressure began. But the king did not know that this was only the beginning of something much darker. To protect the throne, King Ud married again. The second wife, Queen Masoma, was young and strong. The villagers said her mother had given birth to 7 children. Surely this one will give us a prince, they said. 2 years passed. Nothing. No pregnancy. No sign. The palace became heavier. The first wife began to cry at night. The second wife began to fear. And King Ud began to lose sleep. The gods were watching, and they were silent. Years passed like dry harmattan wind. Wife number 3. Wife number 4. Wife number 5. Each marriage was celebrated with drums. Each year ended with silence. By the time the 9th wife entered the palace, people stopped celebrating. They only watched. 9 queens. 9 healthy women. 18 years. Not one pregnancy. Not even a miscarriage. Nothing. It was as if the palace womb had been sealed by unseen hands. But the truth was buried deeper than anyone imagined. At 56 years old, King Ud began to feel fear. Not fear of war. Not fear of enemies. Fear of death. Because when he dies, who will sit on the throne? His brothers were dead. His cousins were gone. He was the last son of his father. If he dies without a child, his bloodline ends. One night, he sat alone in the royal courtyard. The moon was red. The wind was cold. And for the first time in his life, King Ud cried. But the spirits of the land were about to answer him. At dawn, the king ordered preparation. He would visit Izmio, the spiritual leader of Umueke, the man who speaks to the gods. The villagers feared Izmio. He lived deep inside the evil forest. No one entered there without shaking. King Ud removed his crown before entering the shrine. Inside, smoke filled the air. Bones hung from the roof. The air smelled of blood and herbs. Izmio did not greet him. He only looked at him and said, "You have come because your house is empty." The king's heart jumped. But what the priest said next would break the king forever. The priest threw cowries on the ground. They scattered. The fire turned blue. The priest began to chant. Suddenly, he stopped. And his voice changed. "Your father was not meant to be king." King Ud froze. The priest continued. "Many years ago, your father went to strange powers. He wanted the throne at all cost." The king's hands began to shake. To become king, he gave them a stranger's son. The shrine became colder. He sacrificed an innocent boy. Even the birds outside stopped singing. The blood of that child cried to the gods. And the gods cursed your father. The king whispered, "What curse?" The priest looked directly into his eyes. "No child shall come from his seed. His generation will end. You are the last." But the priest had not finished. King Yud's voice trembled. But I did nothing. I killed no one. Izmio replied. The blood of the innocent does not forget. The curse does not look at guilt. It looks at blood. The fire suddenly went out. Darkness filled the shrine. You can marry 100 wives. You can pray. You can cry. But no child will come from you. And when you die, your father's line will be wiped from the earth. Thunder struck. King Yud collapsed. But if the curse was real, why did something strange begin to happen that very night? That night, in the palace, all 9 queens had the same dream. A young boy stood at the palace gate. His clothes were torn. His chest was bleeding. He was crying, "Give me back my life." One by one, the queens woke up screaming. At the same time, in different rooms, the guards ran in fear. And King Yud realized the curse had awakened. But the boy in the dream was not done. He was coming closer. Strange things started happening. Milk turned sour. Chickens died without reason. Palm wine became bitter. One queen began bleeding without injury. Another queen lost her voice overnight. At midnight, footsteps echoed in empty hallways. And sometimes, a child's cry was heard in the throne room. But no child was there. The villagers began to whisper, "The throne is angry. The land wants payment." But what payment could erase innocent blood? King Yud locked himself inside his chamber. He stared at his father's old crown. He remembered how powerful his father was. Respected. Feared. But now, he understood the price. He whispered to himself, "If blood was used to get this throne, will blood be needed to break the curse?" And that thought was the most dangerous thought he had ever had. What happens when a cursed king decides to fight a curse with another sacrifice? Will King Yud repeat his father's sin? Or will the gods demand something far worse? The gods had spoken. The curse was clear. No child would ever come from King Yud. But a king without an heir is already half dead. And that night, King Yud decided he would not let his bloodline end quietly, even if it meant repeating the sin that cursed him. King Yud did not sleep. The priest's words echoed in his mind. "You are the last. Your generation ends with you." He stood in front of his father's old portrait. "Father, what did you bring upon me?" Anger slowly replaced fear. He clenched his fist. If blood was used to take the throne, maybe blood can break the curse. But some curses grow stronger when fed with blood. Midnight, the king sent for Izmio again. This time, secretly. No guards. No queens. Only darkness. Inside the shrine, the priest was waiting. "You have come with a dangerous thought," Izmio said without turning. The king did not deny it. "Tell me the price to break the curse." The shrine became silent. Even the fire seemed afraid. But the price was not what the king expected. Izmio spoke slowly. "The curse was born from innocent blood. It can only be broken by willing blood." The king frowned. "What does that mean?" The priest looked at him. "A life must be given, but not stolen. Someone must offer themselves freely." The king's heart began to beat faster. No force. No trick. No kidnapping. The gods must see willingness. But who would willingly die for a cursed king? Rumors began to move like smoke. The palace servants heard strange things. The king seeks a sacrifice. The gods want a life. fear entered the palace. The 9 queens gathered in secret. Queen Adana spoke first. Has the king gone mad? Queen Masoma whispered. If he cannot have a child, will he use one of us? Silence filled the room. Because deep down, they all had the same fear. But one of the queens had a secret no one knew. The 9th wife, Queen Ifunanya, was the youngest. Quiet, always watching. That night, she went alone to the palace well. She stared into the water, and she saw something strange. The face of the bleeding boy appeared in the reflection. You cannot escape blood with more blood, the spirit whispered. She fell back in fear. But when she looked again, the water was normal. Was the spirit warning her or choosing her? The next morning, the royal gong sounded. All 9 queens stood before the king. His face was cold. The gods have given a condition, he said. If someone willingly gives their life, the curse will break. Shock, fear, silence. Queen Adana stepped back slowly. You cannot mean one of us? The king said nothing. But the most shocking voice had not yet spoken. Before anyone could speak again, Queen Ifunanya stepped forward. I will do it. The entire palace froze. The other queens stared at her. The king looked confused. Do you understand what you are saying? She nodded. If my life can give this kingdom an heir, then let it be me. Tears filled some eyes. But something about her calmness was strange, because the spirit world was already moving. The forest was darker than ever. The shrine fire burned high. All 9 queens were present. The king stood in red ritual cloth. Queen Ifunanya stood in white. The priest began chanting. Drums echoed like heartbeats. But suddenly, the wind changed. The fire turned blue again. And a child's cry filled the forest. Not from the shrine. From everywhere. The gods were not accepting the offering. The bleeding boy appeared between the trees. Clearer than before. His voice was stronger. You cannot wash blood with blood. You cannot trade one innocent for another. The priest fell to the ground. The queen screamed. The king stood frozen. The spirit turned to King Yud. You want a child? Then give up the throne. The forest went still. The curse did not want blood. It wanted something worse. Isnmio spoke quickly from the ground. The throne is what was bought with blood. If you step down, if you destroy your father's crown, the curse may end. King Yud looked at the throne staff in his hand. All his life, he protected this power. Now he must choose. The throne, or his bloodline. The queens watched. The priest waited. The spirit stared. If a king gives up his throne, is he still a king? And if he refuses, will the gods destroy the entire kingdom? The spirit had spoken. Give up the throne or lose everything. The forest was silent. The queens were shaking. The priest lay on the ground. And King Yud stood there, holding the crown that destroyed his bloodline. What is a king without a throne? And what is a throne built on blood? Tonight, Umueke would find out. The spirit boy stood before him, waiting. No anger in his face, only pain. King Yud looked at the crown in his hand. This crown made his father powerful. This crown made him feared. This crown destroyed his future. Slowly, his knees touched the ground. The forest gasped. But surrender is harder than sacrifice. With shaking hands, Kinyude placed the crown on the forest soil. The moment it touched the ground, the wind roared. The fire exploded. The earth trembled. The priest screamed. It has begun. The blue flame turned white. The spirit boy closed his eyes. But something inside the palace was happening at the same time. Back at the palace, the throne cracked. A long line appeared across it. The walls began to shake. Oil lamps fell. Servants ran in fear. The royal drum beat on its own. Boom, 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 as if the kingdom itself had a heartbeat. The throne did not want to die. Inside the chaos, Queen Adana watched carefully. Her eyes were not afraid. They were calculating. For years she suffered. For years she was blamed. Now, if the throne falls, she becomes nothing. Silently, she ran to the palace shrine. Hidden behind a wall. A shrine no one knew she used. Because Queen Adana had been keeping her own secret. Inside her secret shrine were charms, bones, strange powders. She whispered, "If the throne dies, I die. I will not go back to nothing." She took a small calabash filled with dark liquid. She poured it on the floor. Spirits of power, hold the throne. The room became cold. But she did not know the curse was stronger than her charms. Back in the forest, the spirit boy opened his eyes again. "You placed the crown down," he said. "But the throne still stands in your heart." Kinyude looked confused. "What more do you want?" The spirit replied. "Destroy it completely. Break it with your own hands." Silence. To break the throne is to break your identity. Kinyude ran back to the palace. The queens followed. The priest limped behind them. The sky was dark. Lightning filled the clouds. When they reached the throne room, the throne was already cracked, but still standing. Queen Adana stood in front of it. "Stop," she shouted. "If you destroy it, we lose everything." And for the first time, the king saw greed in her eyes. The priest entered slowly. "She has been feeding the throne," he said weakly. The room froze. Queen Adana laughed softly. "For years, I protected this kingdom. I made sure the throne stayed strong. With offerings, with sacrifices." Gasps filled the room. "You think the curse only came from your father," she said to the king. "It has been fed to keep power alive." The throne was not only cursed, it was hungry. The ground shook harder. The throne began to glow faint red. Shadows moved behind it. Queen Adana stood in front of it like a guard. "If the throne dies, I die." Kinyude looked at her. Then at the spirit boy now standing inside the throne room. Yes, the spirit had followed them. "This ends now," the king whispered. Power fights to survive. With one loud cry, Kinyude lifted a heavy iron staff and struck the throne. Once, the crack widened. Queen Adana screamed. He struck again. The throne split. A loud sound like thunder filled the palace. The red glow exploded into white light. Queen Adana collapsed. The spirit boy slowly began to fade. But before disappearing, he said something. The spirit looked at Kinyude. "The blood has been answered. The throne is clean. Your father's debt is paid." The white light filled the room. Then silence. Complete silence. The throne was gone. Only ashes remained. But what is a king without a throne? Weeks passed. The palace was quiet. No throne. No crown. King Yud now wore simple cloth. He sat among his people, not above them. And then, one morning, Queen Ifunanya fainted. The royal healer checked her, then looked up slowly. She carries life. Silence. Then tears. After 18 years. After 9 wives. After breaking the throne. Life had finally come. But the kingdom would never be the same again. Months later, a baby boy cried inside the palace. The first cry ever heard there. But there was no throne waiting for him. Only a kingdom that had learned. Power taken by blood. We demand blood. But power surrendered can bring life.